Pacific Pantry shelves are nearly bare for the holidays as City of Crescent City Community Development block grant funding ended last month. In order to ensure pantry doors remain open to Del Norte's many food-insecure individuals and families for the holidays and beyond, the Family Resource Center of the Redwoods and Del Norte and Tribal Lands Community Food Council are launching a multifaceted fundraising campaign to raise $25 by the close of 2019. $25,000, I apologize, by the close of 2019. KFUG Community News spoke to Amanda Hixon, Del Norte and Tribal Lands Community Food Council Food Program Director, about the pantry's funding and future. Could you take us through the changes in the pantry's funding structure and how those changes have affected the pantry's operations?
Yes. From April 2018 until October, about the latter half of October of 2019, the pantry was funded through a City of Crescent City Community Development block grant. And with that funding, the pantry, we had about $20,000 a month to run the pantry, to pay for staff. We had 3 paid staff that were managing and running the pantry and procuring all of the food that was in the pantry on the shelves. And we went from that budget to $0 a month budget as of the end of the CDBG grant. So the pantry has seen some drastic changes, and we did anticipate the end of this grant, and I, as the food program director of the Donato Community Food Council, have been strategizing, anticipating the end of this grant, trying to figure out how we can keep the pantry doors open even when this funding ended. But it has been a big change, and what it's resulted in is that the pantry that was always fully stocked with fruits and vegetables and milk and eggs and cheese and all sorts of dried goods and meat and all sorts of variety of nutritious food has been pretty bare and pretty empty for the past month. But the exciting thing is that we launched a fundraiser, and that has grabbed the attention of this community, and it's been really inspiring to me to see the community just coming together. A couple of days ago, my pantry manager, Charlie Perry, told me that a couple showed up in a Jeep with pallets of food that they unloaded to donate for the pantry, and other people have been coming in and bringing tomatoes and apples, and we've been getting milk from Alexander Dairy that they're donating to us, and various individuals and foundations have been working on getting us funding to keep the pantry stocked, especially through the holidays. So that has been really inspiring to just see the community step up and come together for the people here that don't have enough food to eat and don't know how to get enough food to eat for themselves and their family.
I know we talked about this a little bit in the previous story that we did, but you offer kind of like a shopping sort of pantry experience for a lot of people who may have like restrictions or anything else. Could you kind of go into that a little bit, explain what it is and why is it important to have that kind of choice pantry?
Yes, the Pacific Pantry is the only choice pantry in the whole Del Norte County. And what that means, a choice pantry, I think for a lot of people, I know at least for myself, growing up when I thought of a pantry, I thought of a place that you would go and you would get a bunch of canned things. And I know being involved in the past in different communities when I was a lot younger many years ago, that when people would donate food to the pantry, it would often be really old things, that maybe like a box of cookies that had been on someone's shelf for 2 years and was hard as brick. And so that's kind of what was conjured in my mind when I would think of a pantry for many years. And the amazing thing about a choice pantry, and especially designing pantries that are focused on nutrition and are focused on giving equitable choices to people that are food insecure, is that it allows people the dignity of choice, of coming in and saying, I get to choose what I'm going to take home, and therefore they get to choose the things that they like, they get to choose the things that they can eat, and they also are able to, it reduces food waste a lot, because with models where people come and they just are given a bag of food, what happens a lot with a lot of the food is that it's left in the parking lot, or a lot of it is left somewhere because the person doesn't actually want a lot of the food that's in that bag. So a choice pantry gives people dignity and choice and reduces food waste. So we really like that we have that model. But I should say, kind of as a caveat, that when the funding, the CDBG funding ended, that and our items in the pantry have been extremely limited, that we were giving out bags for a couple of weeks because there just wasn't enough items in the pantry to follow. Our established model was that people could come in and, based on household size, would get to pick a certain number of items. And we had many items to choose from. Now, with the pantry shelves being pretty bare and our funding ending, we haven't had very many items to choose from. So for a couple of weeks, we were giving people bags of basically just what we had to offer. But we did tell people, please look through the bag. If there's something you're not going to use, please leave it so that someone else that would use it will pick that up. But with funding coming in and donations coming in, we have been transitioning back to our choice model, where people will come and they get to choose what a certain number of items that they can take home with them.
I know we also, in our past hour, we also looked into the Cal Recycle grant that you're going to be receiving. Will the Cal Recycle grant help to keep the Choice Pantry open, or is it meant for other purposes?
It will. The purpose of the Cal Recycle grant is, to sum it up in a couple words, the purpose is to pull as much food out of the landfill stream as possible, edible food. So the funding through Cal Recycle specifically is for us to try to recover 400,000 pounds of food by April of 2021. The great thing about this grant, and the perfect timing of it as well, is that a lot of the food that's being rescued needs to go somewhere. And so we're able to use the food that we're rescuing and stock the pantry with it as well. So it will, and the grant has already started. We got notice to proceed a couple of months ago, and our food rescue coordinator, Meredith Knowles, has started working a month ago. And so we already have started rescuing food, but it's just in the beginning stages. It's really going to get ramped up, and there'll start to be a lot of food coming in that we'll be able to give out through the pantry and then other places as well if we have excess.
The fundraising that you're doing now, is this more of a short-term thing, or is this something you'll have to continue doing?
That's a really good question. At least for the short term, we are not able at this time. The City of Crescent City Community Development Block Grant, the city was not able to reapply for funding until next year. And so the process, if we'd have to go through an application process with the city, and if we were picked as one of the two entities that would receive the CDBG funding, the process until we'd actually have access to that funding we wouldn't have it until November of 2020. So we know that at a minimum, we have at least 1 year where we don't have that CDBG funding, and that we need to have a plan for this year. And there's no guarantee that we would actually receive the CDBG funding come next year. So right now, it's kind of the emergency, put out the fire that's burning you phase. And then we will, as we have the pantry shelf stocked for the holidays, we'll definitely be looking at how do we proceed moving forward. We're actually having a forum and a holiday dinner for pantry patrons, where we hope to bring as many pantry clients together as possible and talk to them and hear what their hopes are and their wants are as far as a pantry goes and what they would like the pantry to look like moving forward, and their stories about why they need the pantry. So we're hoping to gather more of that information when we have our forum for pantry clients on December 6th.
Great. Where are you holding that forum?
That is going to be at the Family Resource Center of the Redwoods, the same location where the Pacific Pantry is.
Great.
It's going to be in one of the other rooms there.
The goal you're looking to fundraise now, $25,000. How long do you expect that to last?
Optimistically, I think that we could run the pantry pretty well with about $5,000 a month. So if we were able to raise $25,000, that would get us through. We also have a little, a couple $1,000s through a FEMA Emergency Food and Shelter Program grant that we were rewarded a couple months back and just got the funding for. So I think that if we raise $25,000, we can keep the pantry doors open and supply nutritious food for our families here in Del Norte for through April, if we were able to raise $25,000.
Great. Of the many ways people can contribute, which one is the best for the pantry?
I think that this is a good question, and it's also just in the whole world of aid and help and social services and all of that, that I have a background in. A lot of times you hear money is always the best, because the reason why is because the people that are within the organization and that are running the operations have a better sense of what is really needed, and can use that money to provide what's really needed. For example, if everyone said, oh, they need food at the pantry, we're all going to bring 20 pounds of apples, then we'd have a lot of apples at the pantry, but that'd be about the only thing that we had. Whereas if we have money, then myself and my team running the pantry can decide what is most needed in the pantry, what do we really need, what's the priority, and then use the money accordingly. So but I know a lot of times people feel more comfortable donating food or donating products that are actually in kind, so they know that it's going to what they want it to go to, and there's no question about, oh, I donated this for money and then it got spent on something else. I mean, I donated this for food and then it got spent on something that I didn't want it to get spent on. So we are definitely happy, very, very happy to accept food. But of course, money is the best thing that people can do.
One last question. If someone is food insecure, how can they utilize the pantry?
So the pantry is open on Thursdays and Fridays from 2 to 6 p.m. and then on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We are keeping those hours open, regardless of if we have a lot to offer, if we have a little to offer. We are maintaining those hours open. So anyone that needs to come and get some extra food, we don't ask a lot of questions. We have a few questions that we ask, and we ask a person's name and where he or she lives and a couple of their demographic questions. And then that person is able to get a bag of food for the month. So at this current time, people are allowed to come once a month. That's also something that in my ideal world, we change that, where people can come however many times they need to during a month rather than it being limited to once a month. And that's something that I'm working towards, having more of an open distribution model where people choose how many items they need and come however many times they want rather than the limitations that we have right now. But we're going to continue the once a month visit limitation at this time when our resources are so limited. And then hopefully in the future, when we have more leeway with our resources and what we can offer, we'll be able to open that up to more of an open distribution model.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. The Donato CFC and FRC are asking for the support of the community in keeping shelves stocked and the doors open at Pacific Pantry. Please consider offering a helping hand in one or more of the following ways. Use Amazon Smile for all of your normal and holiday Amazon shopping. Select the Family Resource Center of the Redwoods as your charitable organization, and the Amazon will donate 0.5% of the price to your purchases to the FRC for pantry support. Purchase hand-picked fresh Port Orford cranberries or hand-processed cranberry sauce from the Donato CFC starting November 18th. Call CFC directly or keep an eye out for an update about selling cranberries and sauce at the Wild Rose Market in front of Safeway. Support the Empty Bowls fundraising diner on Saturday, December 14th. Attendees purchase a handmade ceramic bowl to sample a variety of homemade soups. Donato CFC is soliciting donations of ceramic bowls, homemade soups, raffle items, including services, and volunteers for this fundraiser. And just today, it was announced that between now and December 3rd, the Caldwell clan has offered to match any donation made up to $10,000. Donate. Visit the Pacific Pantry Facebook page or their website, www.donatofood.com, or go directly to their Mighty Cause crowdfunding campaign to make a monetary donation at www.mightycause.com/story/Pacific-Pantry. Donato CFC is also happy to accept food donations directly or through their partnership with the Del Norte County Library's upcoming Food for Fines. For more information, please contact Andrea Lenkto, Food Program Coordinator, Donato Community Food Council, at 707-464-0955, extension 2109.